Now, when you're putting together a track, can you show me some of these instruments that you're using in that process? Because
Absolutely.
This is very keyboard, synth-based
Yeah. If you take
dream
a look
world.
at the synth wall over here, up top is a Juno 1, and then we go down to a Juno 106. Below that's a Korg SV1, and then finally a Yamaha DX9. And
fantastic.
these have all been accumulated over many years, but to me, they each are very specifically good, you know, at certain things. The Juno 1 and the DX9, and even the Korg, I mean, they all have some pretty phenomenal presets that, for me, are go-to sounds, whereas the Juno is where I can get a little more creative and in-depth to create a sound from scratch. I've had the Juno the longest, and that was sort of my introductory synth into the whole sound design world.
And you got the upright over here,
Yep.
felted out.
That's right, that's a Boston
Oh, nice.
upright. That's the problem solver, I'll put it that way.
Heck yeah.
If a song doesn't work sitting there at the piano playing through it, then it's not a good song. I track it as much as I possibly can. It makes its way sometimes in a little more of a creative way onto tracks, but I mean, it's just as beautiful to play and look at as it is recorded. I'm so happy with it. So this is the Sequential Rev 2. I mean, just a phenomenal synth. And ironically, it's the last one that I got, even though all of my favorite records, I mean, these things are all over them. But it's also acting as a MIDI controller as well. So that's when I'm working in, you know, virtual synths and programming and doing that stuff. But for sound design, for go-to sounds, dude, this thing is pretty unrivaled, I think. This is the Moog Subsequent 37. Go-to for anything bass. There's not a track I do that this isn't on in some way, but just the foundation pretty much to all that low end. And that's kind of the idea for the synths in general. I mean, I like to have things that are pretty foundational and structural
Sure.
to the track, and I know what I can get out of each one to help, you know, work together in a way that gets the end result that I'm going for.
What do you like to do for drums?
Drums, between pulling in samples from Splice or other sample packs. I mean, I'm not afraid to say I'm a huge Splice user at all, but then in other times for a little bit more creativity, I can pull out this guy. TR-08, it's the boutique version of sort of standard 808.
Nice.
But man, it's so fun just to get a little pattern or loop going, program something out here, and then kind of start building on top of it and just let this run and go from there.
Dang, that is so fun, dude.
Yeah, it's a fun little piece of equipment.
What's that thing up top there? The Jupiter 8? Or
JP-08? Close. Essentially, it is the brain of a Jupiter. Roland makes these boutique versions of these synths that essentially are just desktop versions.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can, you know, wire this up and play some sounds on it. It's great. I actually mainly used it more so as a MIDI interface.
Oh, yeah?
When I'm getting somewhat creative with stuff, I can hook this guy up to the laptop, use it as an external MIDI interface, and then wire it MIDI and essentially daisy chain the synths.
Oh, okay, nice.
I can use this to basically send MIDI that I've programmed to the rest of the synths.
Yeah.
And, you know, program something here, click play, it'll loop 4 8 bars, and then I can go over there and this is triggering some synth and I
Nice.
can kind of, you know, mess
Yeah.
around with it as it's looping.